Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life podcast. I am your host, Lori Palau, and if you are watching us on YouTube, you see that I am joined in the studio today by my sidekick, my friend, Gail Waterman. And many of you might remember Gail. She's been a repeat guest on our show. And I invited her to come back on today because we're continuing in our series on behind the scenes of SBO. And today we are going to be talking all about behind the scenes of our onsite clients, what that looks like, how our business has changed. We don't see a ton of onsite clients anymore. We have a few long-term people, and occasionally we do a few new fun projects here and there. But what does that look like? How do we get our clients? What do we do for them when we're with them? What do we do for them behind the scenes when we're not with them? And just like kind of how do we navigate that part of the business? So whether you are somebody that's thinking about hiring a professional organizer and kind of wants to know, we're going to tell you our little secrets. Or if you are somebody that is either thinking about starting a business or not really sure kind of how to run it, there's lots of ways to do it, but I'll be sharing a little bit about our own story. So I figured who better to sit in the co-pilot seat than somebody that's been with me for years. So without further ado, Gail, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's always great to be here.
Yeah, and Gail didn't know she was going to be on camera, but she looks
like
great.
It,
and
it's fine.
Well, I said we've got like 5 people that watch us on YouTube, so and a few more that listen to us. For those who are maybe this is their first time tuning in, can you just give everybody like a quick little backstory of who you are and what you do with SBO?
Well, I think I do a little bit of everything.
This is true.
I'm kind of, I need this done. Let me call Gail.
This is true.
Because I do work another job, but I have a lot of flexibility. So I'm always we always just have fun and get what we need to get done.
Yeah.
And it's just, let me think. I do a little behind the scenes in the business to, in the partner program. But also when you go to clients, I usually go with you if I can. And that's always fun.
And you are not, just to let our audience know, like you're not a professional organizer.
No, I've learned from the best. Yeah.
So yeah.
I have. No, I'm not. But, you learn as you go and you just learn the process.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's like a really good point for any of our listeners out there who are in the business, because I get a lot from people that are maybe thinking about bringing on an assistant to help them, or they're thinking about scaling their business. And every employee that I've had working for me, whether it's you or Erica or anybody else that's worked with us, we're not like trained professional organizers. That was not your field of expertise.
No.
But you were doers, you cared about the clients, you were fun team members and open to like whatever that brought, which we're going to dive into, because I think there's this misconception. One of the things I want to talk about is kind of like, what does a professional organizer do? And, it's become such a pretty big spectrum.
Right. Because every client's different.
Yeah.
Every single one is different. There's no just cookie cutter.
Which I like.
The process is basically, we're trying, the end result is the same.
Correct.
But every client's different.
Yeah. And for us, and I think, there's a lot of people, just like any industry, there's people that specialize in doing certain things. Some people specialize in, helping people with moves. Some people help people with more staging. Some people just come in and specialize in like closets. And we're kind of more of a generalist, I would say, if I had to, we're not a specialist, but our core demographic, not always, but a lot of our clients were like busy moms.
Right. We just needed more of a like system put into place.
And because that was a lot of our clients, and that just kind of grew organically. That was just kind of the need. And maybe it had to do with the season of life that we were in, because we're in similar seasons with our kids. Our clients became ongoing, like we became an ongoing fixture in their lives for a lot of our clients, which I think, again, to dispel maybe another myth that a professional organizer comes in like on HGTV and swoops in and makes everything look pretty and then leaves. And that might be true for some people.
Right. But they cut out a lot because it's not that quick. There's a lot of editing in that.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
So but beginning and end is basically the same.
Yeah. But I think for us, one of the big things that we have focused in on, and I think we've done this really well, is learning what our clients need. And that comes with time.
Yes.
Comes with understanding their habits, how they live.
Right.
And so
especially the repeat ones, when we go in time after time and it's the same, we're doing the same thing really over and over again. And we try to help them. Wait a minute. We need to really focus on this and see how we can get this to flow better for them.
And for a lot of people, you might be thinking, well, why are you doing the same things over and over again? I think for a lot of times, the reason why we focus in on having fewer clients and developing longer lasting relationships is because we know that life goes through seasons and stages,
right? Whether
you're having a baby, or your kids are going to school, or they're now playing new sports, or you take on a new job, or a pandemic hits and now you have to have a homework hub and a study space and a workspace. So life is constantly changing and flowing. So even though we created a system that worked at one time, something can come in and disrupt that. And now we have to create a new system.
Right. And even the one client is we've had for years. The kids grew up. They were babies. And now they're teenagers.
I know.
So that changes.
I know. But I think, for us, one of the things that I love is about our business is I think it's very relational with our clients.
Oh, yeah.
We are involved with them. We really care about them and their lives, not just the project.
No. And we listen to them.
Yeah.
We listen to what they need.
Yeah.
I think. And we develop a relationship with them.
And
so it just, I don't know. It seems like, I think most of our clients, I think all of our clients, it's like we're going to a friend's house now.
Yes.
And just.
Yeah. And I think that's, I think, I feel very fortunate that we have
developed those relationships like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we value that. And
sorry, I'm finishing your
sentences. No, it's okay. I cut yours off all the time.
That's yeah. Well,
so that's kind of how it is. So let's talk a little bit about, what is the process like when we first go to a client and they're disorganized, and like, what are some of the things that you think our listeners would want to know about kind of the actual tactical stuff, like what we're doing? Because again, there's that preconceived notion of, oh my God, they're going to come, they're going to throw everything away. They're going to come, they're going to judge me, all that stuff.
Well, I think what we do is the first thing we do is have a conversation with them. Right. And we see what their problem areas are, what they want to work on, and where they feel that they're most disorganized. And I think that's what we do. We really have a conversation with them in the beginning.
Yeah. And a lot of our stuff has to do with that talking part of it.
Right.
Assessing in the space.
Right. Right.
And another thing that we do, which I think, I don't know if this is different from other people, because I'm not with other professional organizers. So I don't exactly know what they're doing, but I know what we're doing. And we diagnose the whole house.
Yeah.
We go through each space. So even if somebody calls us, to work on a garage or a closet or whatever, fill in the blank. We're like, show us your whole house.
Right. Right.
Because I think it's really important to see how people live in other areas, why something works maybe in one area.
Right.
Like what, okay, so your kitchen's really organized. Why is that work? What about
Yeah.
that is working?
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Right.
Or you're a hot mess all over the place, which is okay too. And so
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
we need to kind of not just address this immediate problem, but like look at the organization as a whole.
Right.
Totally. What about the interaction when a client agrees to work with us, working, like, are they with us all the time?
No. No.
The short answer, people, is no.
No, because, you know, in the beginning, of course, we talk to them, we, you know, get to know their, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. Habits, routines.
And after that, we can go into a space and we know, well, you know, everything's landing in this mud room and it shouldn't be in, you know, this is not where it should be. And this is where it should be. And we bring it to where, you know, and even the kitchen is that dumping.
Yeah.
Because everybody walks in and dumps. I'm learning that now with, you know, it gets dumped. And so we could go in, and I think we know as soon as we walk into a couple of our clients, we know exactly what we're working on.
Right. I mean, that's the nice thing about having long-standing clients is you know their habits as well as they do, and you know the areas that are going to be pitfalls.
Right.
But when we're first developing a relationship and we don't know that with a client, we will find out what their availability is and also what their interest is. You've got some people that want to be involved in the process from start to finish. And I get it at the beginning because you don't always know exactly what to expect. Right. There could be some like fear of the unknown, whatever the situation is. And we want to work with you. We want to talk with you, but we don't have to be. We typically work with a client in like 4-hour session blocks, give or take. So it's usually like 4 to 5 hours, but 4 is like kind of the sweet spot before people start like
getting overwhelmed.
Yeah. Getting overwhelmed, losing steam, the whole 9 yards. And originally, just like fun fact, that time frame really developed when I first started my business and our kids were little, and I wanted to, right. And so for me as a mom that wanted to be able to be there to put my kids on the bus and be there to get them off the bus, when you factor in like travel back and forth to a client, that was what I had. And when I was bringing on assistants like you and Erica, you guys were in the same thing.
Right.
So this was what worked. And then that I found that model, that 4 to 5 hours, was something that worked well with our clients.
It just worked out anyway.
So even after like our kids were grown and didn't need us, we've still pretty much kept to that. And I like it. And I think it gives the clients that sense of continuity of like knowing, okay, they're going to work or we're going to work together. And then for this amount of time, and then we get to hit the pause button.
Right.
So I think that's really important. But we have some clients that we've worked with in the past that work outside the home, or they're busy doing other things and they don't want to be sitting there for 4 hours.
Right.
So in those situations, we will make first passes when we're first working with a client, because people say, how do you declutter when a client isn't there? And we assign homework in that situation.
Right. I feel like, especially a kitchen to me is, I don't want to say it's the same for everybody, but you basically, you know, your dish towels are here and this should be here because everything kind of flows with your, with where your stove is, it's just.
One would think, Gail, would think you're taking it for granted.
Well, one would think. So I think when we go in, like we just did a kitchen for a client, and not me, but somebody else. And we could go in and just say, well, this makes more sense to put this here and put this here and put this here. But yeah, we had like we put out a box or whatever it is, or on the counter or somewhere, maybe in the dining room, saying you need to go through this.
Yeah. So we
like you need to you have homework, you need to go through this, you need to lighten the load. You have 10 spatulas,
exactly,
or whatever. So.
Right. So what we'll do in a situation when the client's not there, and even if a client's like busy, maybe they are home, but they're doing laundry, like they're not going to be sitting with us or whatever. So what we try to do is go in there, start pulling stuff out. Like this is the actual process, people, that happens.
Yes.
First of all, you're not dressed fancy. We barely have makeup on, hair's in a ponytail, in like, athleisure wear, comfy jeans, whatever. Like you're not dressed fancy. And we'll just start pulling stuff out from the space. Cause I always start with my ESP, which is empty, sort, purge. That's like our method. And we just start pulling everything out before we even make decisions. We just pull everything out.
What we have to get back in there.
And what we do at that point for any space, and this could go for kitchens, clothes, playrooms, is as we're emptying that space, we're grouping like items together. So we have a staging area. We define what that staging area is going to be. If it's a kitchen, we're using the island, we're using the countertops, we're using the kitchen table. Yes. Sometimes, like you said, if we can use like a dining room or a hallway, but I think it's important that you have like that temporary staging area of where you're going to put the stuff as you're emptying it and then sorting it. And then we use our 4-pile method. That's how we do it, which is your keep pile, your donate pile, your recycle, which is trash or recycle.
Yeah.
And then your 4th pile, which is the relocate pile. And the relocate pile is the one that a lot of people kind of either overlook it or don't really think about it. And the relocate pile is really the items that you own that don't necessarily need to live in that space.
Right.
Like, for example, your kids were fighting with a Nerf gun and you pulled it away and shoved it in the top of your closet. And now it needs to go back into the playroom or garage. Or in the garbage. And maybe that's not a good example because that Nerf gun goes in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
But maybe you were hanging a picture and you left a hammer and you just didn't put it away. So you're not going to throw it away, but it needs to go somewhere. Right. So when you can start grouping your but before you even go there, you start grouping your items together. So then you can see, okay, I've got, like you said, 50 spatulas, or I've got excess of this.
Right.
And then from there, we can give the homeowner or our client, they can see just a small fraction. And you could say, here, you've got 6 frying pans. Can you pick your top 3?
Right.
Or this one I don't use, or this one's old. And it makes it more digestible because you can see exactly what it is. And you're looking at just specific chunks as opposed to a whole pantry filled with stuff.
Yeah. Right. And I think half the time the homeowner doesn't even know what they have. Well, most of the time, 99% of the time, because I know that's me too. You don't know what you have. And maybe there's something you were hanging on to. Why am I hanging on to that? So it makes them purge and get rid of things. And when you can see everything just out in the open.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think it's weird because I've talked about this a bunch, and, I enjoy that process, that analytic, like for me, I don't get people like, how do you not get overwhelmed? And I go, well, for me, it's because I know the process and I know the steps. Like I know the steps. I'm not looking at this as just this one big unknown. But I've also been doing this for 1,200 years.
Right. I was going to say longer than that. But it also helps for me, I mean, just to have, not that I would go to a client alone, but just to have somebody, we talk a lot. We talk it out a lot. You have to talk it out.
Yeah. If anybody,
it really is. It breaks down the process of just wait a minute. Stop.
Yeah.
Like stop. Wait a minute. We have a lot of this. That's not making sense there. What do you think?
Yeah.
And we don't even, sometimes it's 5 times. We're like, no, there. No, not 5 times, but like twice or
no, we can't.
It's really not 5 times, but it's, maybe we should do this, but maybe not, because it's just it's the talking out of a drawer or just a closet really helps.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just these subtle things.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I used to joke and would be like, if we were on a client and maybe you or Erica would like say something, I'd be like, okay, you got the gold star for the day, because it was like, it could be the littlest thing that you don't even think about. And you're just like, oh my God, that's it. That's the golden ticket.
Right.
And so it really does help, I think, for me, even though, this is like
the back of your hand.
Having another person is huge.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I think so. For anybody that's in the business, like I moved to that model pretty early on in my career. It was maybe I was a couple years in, and I immediately was like, you know what? The scope of jobs were getting bigger. I wanted to be efficient. And sometimes it's really just helpful, both from a manpower, like having two people move something,
right? But
also, again, just from that, being able to talk it through and have another set of eyes on it.
Right.
It definitely helps. So what we normally do is, and again, we've been doing this for so long that we kind of have muscle memory of how long a job is approximately going to take.
Yeah.
So we know how far in to go before, because the last thing you want to do is have like an entire space completely pulled apart and be like, okay, I'm coming up on 4 hours. See you, bye. You're not going to piece out on somebody.
No.
So we always are very strategic in pulling out sections of a space, especially if it's a bigger space. So if you're doing a kitchen or a basement or garage or someplace that has a lot of moving parts,
that we know we're not going to get done in 4 hours.
We're going to do this cabinet or this section or this area. So for anybody, whether you're attempting to do this at home yourself or, again, somebody from the professional level, like just being able to assess how long, I don't want to get in over my head.
Right. Because then you'll just shut down if you're doing it yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely. You just walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gail's like, I speak from experience.
I do. Yes, I do. I speak from experience, because we just renovated a kitchen. So I packed away a lot of stuff and I got it all out to put back. And I actually stopped in my tracks one day and said to you recently, could you just come and look at the space? You don't have to do it with me. Just look at the space and tell me, like, just talk me off the ledge. And 4.5 hours later.
Well, it's because I love it.
I was so appreciative because it really.
Well, like there were certain things that I'm just like, I went over there really with the attempt of not taking over, but that didn't last long. And I was like, I don't know if I really like the canned goods there. Like, can we just try them over here?
Right.
And the next thing you know, I was, all in, and you're like, do you want a sandwich?
Right.
But again, it's really, sometimes you have to play around, and that's the thing.
And it's nice when you have a person next to you just to talk about it and say, no, that doesn't make sense there. Or maybe this is it. And sometimes you'll switch it around. You'll live with it for a little bit.
Yep.
And then you'll switch it around. And
I think that's another really good point that you bring up, because I say that to our clients all the time. Like, we're going to try this system out. And even though it might look good on paper, like it fits here and it makes sense in theory. We all know in parts of our lives, things that are good in theory don't necessarily always translate into the practical world. So we'll say, live with this, see how this works. It might be something new. And then we can always come back and tweak it. And sometimes it works and sometimes we have to tweak it.
Right.
But that's part of that relational part of our business that I love, and developing that. Again, not that we want to go in there and constantly be fixing things, but we know that this isn't a perfect science.
No. And everything isn't right for every person.
Yeah.
It depends on the circumstances. So
yeah,
absolutely.
And I think another thing that's really important is knowing how people live. And I know that and this is, again, I mean, none of what I'm saying, like, I'm telling you only what I do, what we do at SBO. There's plenty of professional organizers that have different methods, and whatever works for you and your clients, that's great. So I'm not telling anybody that they should change what they're doing. But for me, it was always really important that we really got a clear, accurate 3D picture, like not just a picture of like what somebody looked like or what somebody's space looked like, or they were just telling me, because I needed to really kind of be in it, the space, to be able to, and that's another reason why, again, not that, I mean, this episode's really about our on-site business and the value of the on-site business. And that's why I don't do a lot of virtual organizing. And that's why I developed the partner program, because I had people that weren't in my neck of the woods. And I was like, I want to give you the level of help that you need. And I can't do that from where I live. So let me find somebody that can do that with you, because I think that there's something to be said of being in that space.
Right. And even for them to just speak to you, other organizers speaking to other organizers to see what works for you and what is your process. And I'm having a little difficult time with this. You know, how do you go about it? It's just a great community.
Oh,
you know, it is though, but you need that.
We like it.
Right.
We like it. But I do love, it's funny because people will say to me as our business grows, and we should probably take a break soon. Yeah. Oh, look, and Don just popped in. You may want to have a break here. Why don't we go to break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit. We'll continue our conversation with all about our on-site stuff. So sit tight. I'm so busy chit-chatting away. I lost track of time. All right, Gail, we're back. Chit-chatting away about one of my favorite topics, helping our clients. So while we were on break, actually, Don, our producer, hopped in and asked a really great question, which was, you know, in this kind of post-COVID world where so much of what everybody does just became real virtual. And it absolutely had a huge impact on our industry from a safety perspective. And so many of our fellow organizers were really serving their clients virtually, which was great. And again, I think that you can absolutely do it. What is it going to look like for our industry? And are people going to continue on with virtual organizing, go back in homes? I have some opinions about it, but I'm just curious, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I definitely think you know, went virtually, and people were home. So they were looking at their stuff, and their people working from home. So there's, I think now that things are going to start opening up and people are going to start letting other people, you know, us back in their homes, I think there's a whole list of things they want done, especially now with home offices. You know, just kids stuff piling up. I mean, they're going to go back to school, and they're starting to go back to school. But I think home offices are going to be
huge,
big.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. So, you know, I kind of look at it with two hats on, right? So I look at it from how can I best serve my clients? Because I still have, like, even though I have all these other kind of moving parts of the business between the podcast and the partner program and whatever speaking, I always want to hold on a little bit to that client piece. I don't want to get rid of that. I like having skin in the game. I like having that relationship. I like feeling like I still have a pulse on what's going on from that perspective. And I really, like I said, I value that. But one of the things that I talked about before COVID, and I would talk to this with our partners and people who I mentor in the industry, is being able to diversify your service offerings as a business owner and serve people differently, because your clients need different things. Just like when we had when we started the clutter clinic, and Gail has been instrumental with our speaker series that we created in 2013. And I created that as a way to help people that maybe didn't have the financial means to hire a professional
Right.
organizer, or they were embarrassed, even though there's no need to be, but there was
No.
some shame or embarrassment and they didn't want to, but they still needed
Right.
some help from, and I'm air quoting, an expert to give them
Right.
guidance. And so
Yes.
we did that. And that, from a business perspective, not only helped give people what they needed, but it helped bring in another revenue stream for me.
Right.
And so getting back to this point with virtual organizing, there are going to be some people that are going to want to be able to have that just virtual consulting model.
Right.
And professional organizers can then now use this as another way to diversify and grow their service offerings, because I can tell you from experience, I was very grateful that I have multiple revenue streams, not just on-site clients.
Right.
Because when COVID hit, yes, that part of my business took a huge, a huge hit immediately, and then it rebounded, thankfully. But for our colleagues who all they did was serve people in homes,
right,
that was a huge blow. And I think that can go true with any industry that is a service business.
Right. Right. But I think too, I don't think, I think that people, it's going to open up where we're going to be in homes more. But I also think you just added the virtual, and I think that's a plus.
Yeah.
Because people, like you said, whether they're just embarrassed or they don't have the time or the resources to hire an organizer to come in the house, maybe they just want to concentrate on their closet now, and they've ripped it apart, or they've gotten halfway through, or maybe they're just staring at it and haven't even started, and they just want that hour.
Yes.
To talk it out with somebody, right? And talk them off the ledge, get started, and probably have another talk with them halfway through, or when it's complete, or the products that are available, because not everybody realizes the products that are available to somebody, right?
You bring up two really valid points that I want to kind of just piggyback on. The first one is that check-in. And I think a lot of it has to do with accountability,
right?
And you can fill in the blank with exercise. You can fill in the blank with having that person. A lot of times we are just, I don't want to say just, but a large role of what we do for our clients is just being that accountability partner. And whether you're in person or you're virtual, to know that, Lori's going to be here next week, or Lori's going to be checking in on my progress, whatever it is. And not from I should be scared perspective, but just from that motivation of knowing that you have somebody, I think is huge. I think that that's a really big component. And it's stuff that I don't even necessarily give enough credit to in the moment. Like when I see with our clients, when they're like, oh, I knew you were coming and I did this. And it's not like clean up for the cleaning lady type thing, but
whether it's the homework we've given them, or, just something to work on, or whatever, but it's
give them food for thought. Like I'm coming next month, especially, and this is really important for your maintenance clients, that the people that we work with. And that's really the piece that as the longer I've done this, that's really kind of what I want to, I try to kind of plant that seed with our clients of what do you want to work on? Let's think about when I come back in a month or 3 months or 6 months, when I come back, what do you want to work on? So let's say, okay, so in 6 months, we're going to maybe tackle this area, or know that you want to work on this. So we have some goals. It helps them with goal setting.
Right, exactly.
And planning. So
like with anything, like you just said, like with anything in your life, I think it pushes you to get to the end result that you need to get to.
Yeah.
And just not, how many times do we just throw it in the bin, a piece of paper or whatever we need to do, a task or something. So it's accountability.
And the other thing that you mentioned was the products. And that is one of the things, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, not in the organizing business, the other day. And we were talking about that you think everybody knows what you know.
Right.
Like it was just a conversation in general. And it's like, no, like the things that you take for granted that you know could be, I had no idea about that because that's not your wheelhouse. So the organizing products that are my tried and true, and I, again, I talk to professional organizers in our community all the time.
Right.
So this is like common language that we use, and we talk about the bins and we talk about this organizing product, but people that are not in the industry, like
they
don't
know
that's not what they're
and
going.
They change. Things change. So products change. So, I don't want to say normal person, but the person that's really not into, organizing or things like that.
Where do I go for
really
this?
They don't see that. They don't know. Oh my gosh, there's a clear bin.
Yes.
Now there's a clear bin.
Oh, and this one has a lid.
Yeah.
And this is
has a handle, like to pull out. And it, it's just, you can't know everything. And that's why you have an organizer.
Exactly.
But there's so many products and it's changing all the time.
And I always tell people, I've always said this from day one, and you've heard my spiel. It's like, I'm not a product pusher.
No.
But there are times, and listen, we've had clients that have come to us and said, please, we want us to look like this Pinterest picture, or we want us to look like the home edit, or we want it to look like this. And that's fine. I mean, we can deliver whatever, whatever you want. Our goal is sustainability. Is this something that you're going to maintain? Like, I don't care. I'll decant every spice you have, but are you going to keep up with it?
Right.
Otherwise you just invested in $500 worth of clutter,
Right.
So that's something that, we're pretty transparent about, but we love that. And just even trying to, like you said, stay on top of new products that are there, that are solving a problem for somebody, especially if you have people that are small space living.
Yes.
And that was a big thing when COVID hit, because you had all of these spaces that were doing double duty. It's like, this is my bedroom and now it's my office, or this is the kitchen table and it's now my kids' school work area, whatever.
Yeah.
So you needed to find these, whether it was mobile rolling carts or portable things, or
or just, smaller desks.
Yes.
Because, they're working in their rooms. And, I have 3 people now working in my house because my kids came home, but, so 3 people working in the house, I mean, just, there's so many things. And when you're not in it, you don't know the products that are out there. And, it's just.
And it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry, like the organizing product space. And so there's definitely no shortage of product, but it's knowing what product's going to be good for you. And that's really the key.
Right. Because you could go and just keep buying things and nothing's going to fit.
Right.
So I think when you have somebody in your corner and knows exactly what you, the process of your day or what you need, it's just helpful. So helpful.
Another thing that I want to talk about, because again, when you have, your on-site clients and we're with them, right? So we're with them for 4 to 5 hours, or we're in their home, in their space for 4 to 5 hours. It doesn't end there for us. When we're on a project. So a lot of the stuff that we do, and again, it's how we run our business, how I run SBO, which is I make it like a turnkey operation. So I don't say there's a separate shopping fee and there's a separate removal fee for, donations or pickup. We bundle it in, right? So it's like a turnkey. We want to solve your problem.
Yeah. We're not going to leave you with a pile of crap in your foyer.
Correct.
To say you need to get rid of this.
Right. So we either arrange for pickup. So part of what we do is, in addition to what you see on the onsite stuff, is we research on the back end if there are products or resources that we need, whether it means somebody needs to get something donated and we need to research who will pick up an old couch or who will take
an old computer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do all of that research for our clients.
Right.
and arrange for it. So it's not like we just go, oh,
here's the number.
Here's the number you call.
Right.
No, we do. So that's all behind the scenes. We take care of finding out and arranging coordination of pickup, drop off, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there are products that we need, and it could be anything from bins, baskets, hangers, whatever, furniture.
Yeah.
We always run it by the client first, obviously, so that they know in terms of
this
is what the investment is,
Yeah.
right? Like this is what it's going to cost. But is this something? And if they say yes, we do all the shopping, do all of that, whether it's ordering it online and having it delivered or going physically picking it up, whatever it is.
Right.
And
our
then
car's usually loaded going.
Oh my gosh.
And loaded coming back.
Thank God. Thank God. I love my shout out to the Honda Pilot people because
we do a lot of that. Right.
And then we install like whatever.
Put things together.
Yeah. I mean, and we do a little bit of handy work, but I don't usually do a lot of big installation. Like I will hire, my earring just fell out. These are my earrings, by the way, that Gail got me for my birthday. So if anybody's on YouTube and sees them, they're from Gail. We have handymen. We'll either work with our clients if they have somebody, or we have our own arsenal of people that we will reach out to that can come and either pick up removal stuff or install stuff, handyman, painters, you name it.
Right.
We do all that. And then any returns, we do all
returns,
all of that. So it's in that sense, we remove a lot of the guesswork for the client.
Right. Right. And we also don't want them to feel, when we leave, we want them to just take a breath of like relief and not think, oh dear God, now I have to call this person and get rid of this, or I have to, still look at products, or I have to, I have a pile of stuff here I didn't even use or whatever. We just do it all so we can walk away and you can just sit in your space and
enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, I think so much it's like, again, our clients call us because they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed and
I did in my kitchen.
Gosh.
Right.
I had so much fun in Gail's kitchen.
But that's what it is. When you're overwhelmed and you're just roadblock.
But even for you, said, I'm going to the kitchen, and you love going to the Container Store, but I happen to be going.
Going to,
Yeah, it's like going on a field trip.
Right.
But I said, I knew what she needed.
Yeah.
And I went in and I talked to her about it and I pulled it up online and said,
and you even took the things I didn't use and returned them.
Yeah. Well, I did. I treated you like a client.
Right.
I did.
So,
but I said, again, it's removing that decision fatigue and adding something else on your to-do list. And I think
decision fatigue. That's good. No, it is. That's
good. Good. No, I'm glad.
Because that's exactly what it is sometimes.
So I think when people, when you think about what does a professional organizer do, it's more than just the act of what you see color coding a space. I guess that's one, it's very one-dimensional, but a good professional organizer that you work with is going to understand your needs. So anybody that's out there that's looking for somebody, you want somebody that's going to understand your needs, ask questions about how you live, how do you use this space, what is your goal for the space, what do you envision it, what do you want it to be, and
two, though, somebody that's not gonna just, I don't bully you into getting rid of stuff that you really have an emotional attachment to.
Good point.
Because that's a process because maybe you shouldn't be keeping that pile of whatever, but it means something to you. So, okay, let's put that aside, or let's go through that and let's figure out where we can.
And but where it lives, because we even went through that in your kitchen with some of those few things that were from your mom.
Right. I mean, it's just an emotional thing that you don't want to get rid of. You probably you might not use it, but you're just not ready.
And that's why
Yeah.
we never throw anything. The only thing
No.
we'll ever throw away without a client's approval, and we tell them this, is something with an expiration date.
Right.
So whenever that's the only thing we don't throw away, papers or something that looks on the surface like junk or a chipped, even if it's like a chipped bowl, because maybe it was like your grandmother's or something. Exactly. We don't know. So and we have the conversation. So the only thing that we ever authorize ourselves without checking with the client is if we're doing a pantry and there's expiration date, or in a bathroom, like medicine cabinet, and something's expired.
Right.
And we tell them that, and they say that's fine.
Right. So that's also what, when you are looking for an organizer, you need to find that person that you kind of click with and are comfortable with.
Yeah, you have to have it's a very intimate relationship. I mean, sometimes these people are like looking in your private stuff, and we take that pretty seriously.
We do.
We always joke, but there's like a certain level of like, we're like HIPAA. We're not what you see here. Yeah. This is also like
it's Vegas.
It is exactly. It's Vegas. It's client confidentiality.
Because it's like a hairdresser or a bartender where you just people just start spilling.
Yeah, we become like therapists.
Which therapist.
We love
therapy in a way.
Therapy, but at the end of the day, you have a nice organized space.
And a friend.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's a little pretty much it. And then, like I said, again, we check in with our clients, and we do the clients that are project based, that maybe we do have somebody that has a specific, like, I need this done, and it does have a definitive start and end date. We always check in, whether it's checking in through a quick email or a text, how's it going? How are things? Is there anything else happening? Are you going through any type of we have clients who have like beach houses, or they're moving or whatever. And we may not work with somebody for a year or 2 year, whatever. And then they'll call us. And I think that's the beauty of it, is there are going to be some people that are going to want that ongoing support, because that's how their life is. And there's other people that, it might just be
project to project, or life change or something like that.
But it's, I love the fact that this industry is growing. I love the fact that it's become more mainstream, and that people feel that it's accessible, and that there are resources, whether it's taking an online course or doing a virtual session or having people one-on-one with you. Because there is so much peace that comes from having that organized space.
I agree. And I do think that the virtuals just now added another piece to it.
Yeah.
I really do. But I definitely think, now things will get more one-on-one. But I also think that virtual, that I don't think people knew that was out there.
Yes.
Will be another avenue.
Yeah.
I do.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I'm sure when I walk out, I'll think of something.
Well, we would love to hear your questions. Anything that you have. I'm an open book. Gail's pretty much an open book too. So if you're on Facebook, head on over to our podcast group called This Organized Life Podcast Facebook group. Pretty self-explanatory. Ask us any question. It could be about organizing. It could be about a product. It could be whatever. If you're looking for a professional organizer in your neck of the woods, I encourage you to first go to our website and to the Find a Partner page and look. We have over 25 trusted experts all across the country, and see if there's somebody there in your neck of the woods. And if they're not, let us know, and we will do our best to connect you with somebody.
Right.
That's really important to us. And, if you are a professional organizer, this is something that you're been thinking about doing and wanting to serve people and use your gifts to help other people, and not really sure how to kind of formulate that into a business, reach out, because that's what I love to do, is coach and mentor other people to run their own businesses. So shoot us over an email, info@simplybeorganized.com. But you can find us anywhere. We're pretty much all around. And hopefully this was a helpful behind the scenes to the glamorous world of organizing.
Right. And maybe we'll get you started.
Exactly.
Either with a business, or with a closet.
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
We can mic drop right from there. Is it too early for us to go out and get a glass of wine?
No.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys. Until next week, I'm Lori Plow, and I will see you for another episode of This Organized Life podcast. Peace out.